To me, it looked like he actually lost the wheel.
The wheel for Ross Chastain is still and perfect.
Wheel on the track.
Did you leave the wheel loose?
You picked the fine time to leave me loose, wheel.
Welcome back to the Loose Wheel Show. My name is Andrew Hazlett. That is Ethan Ignatowski. How you doing on this Thursday afternoon, Ethan?
Doing fine. Doing good. I'd say I'm tired. I'm ready for fall break.
Yeah, that's coming up, but we're here. Episode 40 of this season 3. Let's get into the review.
And now for last week's race reviews.
Charlotte Roval, Corey Heim, and Connor Zilic both won the truck and Xfinity races respectively. And it was both of their 10th race wins on the year. They've been having dominant seasons, to say the least. Also in the Xfinity Series, we had an elimination. Taylor Gray, Nick Sanchez, Austin Hill, and Harrison Burton were eliminated. It was interesting to note, Ethan, that Austin Hill missed the playoffs the next round by, I think, wound up being like 21 points or so. Well, whatever the number was, it was that same number of playoff points that he lost due to his suspension by wrecking Eric Almirola. Actions have consequences. So, anyway, let's get into the Cup Series, the big show, the real show that we're here for. Tyler Reddick, he was in a pretty much a must-win state. He was on the pole and led a lot. And Shane Van Gisbergen, as expected, led. Austin Cindric, one of the playoff guys, got spun. There was no yellow. Shane Van Gisbergen won Stage 1. Stage 2, the top 8 drivers wound up staying out. Kyle Larson was the first guy off. And Ross Chastain, who collected some stage points in Stage 1, overshot the exit of pit road, lost a bunch of positions, made a huge mistake. So, AJ Allmendinger leads. Austin Cindric gets spun again, this time by Carson Hocevar. No yellow. That essentially derailed Cindric's day because he broke a toe link on that incident. And so he was needing a must-win situation, and he pretty much got last or close to it. Shane Van Gisbergen then finally passed AJ Allmendinger, and Ryan Blaney won Stage 2 because all the top guys like to flip the stage and pit right before. So I said it before on the show, I don't like stages on road courses. It ruins the race flow. And yeah, that's just kind of my opinion on it. I don't know what else to say. Just it's annoying. I don't like it. I don't think you like it either, Ethan, but anyway, Stage 3, Shane Van Gisbergen leads. Austin Dillon just goes into the wall. And then Van Gisbergen, Kyle Larson had a little bit of stretch in the lead, and then Van Gisbergen led again. On the green flag pit stops, Ross Chastain sped on pit road. Another huge mistake from Chastain. On the pit cycle, Larson and Bell passed Van Gisbergen, and at 14 to go, Kyle Larson and Shane Van Gisbergen battling for the lead, Ethan.
Yeah.
Have a huge battle, lots of contact that results in Larson keeping the lead, Christopher Bell in second, and SVG third. 12 to go. Shane Van Gisbergen repassed Kyle Larson from the lead. He what makes him so great on the road courses, and I think this was shown on Sunday, is that Shane Van Gisbergen into a stint doesn't have any fall off in pace. You see a lot of these guys like Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell, on the short run, they were better than Van Gisbergen. But Van Gisbergen on the long run was able to catch and pass guys. We saw it a few different times, and that's what makes him so good.
Yeah.
This race was kind of a domination, but it's not the domination that we're used to seeing. So I feel like this race kind of put the picture on, okay, this is where he's better than everyone else. He isn't good on the short run and just holds his lead. He's good on the long run. So
it's impressive.
Yeah. Then also 12 to go. Ross Chastain passed Joey Logano, and he needed 3 more positions to advance in the next round on Joey Logano. And Joey Logano said, I'm going to pit. After he came out, he needed 10 positions. Ethan.
Yeah.
Chastain, as he didn't pit, a few other people were pitting. Those people were passing Chastain. Logano was passing cars that didn't pit. And then 1 lap to go. Logano needed 1 spot.
Yep.
So train of cars behind Ross Chastain. First one being Denny Hamlin. Shane Van Gisbergen crossed the line and won, but the race wasn't over. There's stuff still to happen in the back of the field, as they had not yet crossed the finish line. Hamlin passed Chastain in the hairpin, and in the final chicane, Ross Chastain spins it. Chastain and Hamlin spin. Chastain goes backwards, wound up missing the playoffs by...
He tried to reverse over the finish line, which was hilarious to see.
Yeah. And then Chastain, Bubba Wallace, Tyler Reddick, Austin Cindric were eliminated. I give this race a 6 out of 10. We're going to talk more about this race later in the show with some other things that NASCAR has said. So we're going to switch over to Singapore. Ethan,
I want to say something.
I
want to say something first, though, about this race, because I don't know if we're going to touch on it later. You didn't tell me. I wonder. Well, we know kind of due to Denny Hamlin's post-race comments that he wouldn't have passed Chastain if he knew that would get Logano into the playoffs, right? That would have been. He doesn't want Logano to still be in playoff contention, and yet the pass of Ross Chastain put Logano into the playoffs, unknowingly to him. Like, you can't fault him for like racing Chastain. He didn't know, right? So, just unfortunate for him. Kind of funny.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later in the show. Actually, that's kind of what I'm saving to an extent, and there's some other things as well. So now I know Singapore was messy, Ethan. Tell me about it.
Yeah, it was messy. McLaren came into the weekend with a chance to secure the World Constructors' Championship, and they did do that, but not before a lot of drama went down. So George Russell, he was starting on pole with Max Verstappen right beside him in P2, and George got the better jump when the race started. 5 red lights went out. George, he was a rocket ship off the line. He held on to first place. Another guy who had a great start was Lando Norris. He jumped Charles Leclerc almost immediately for 4th place, and then he snuck down the inside of Oscar Piastri for 3rd. But what happened was when Lando was passing Oscar, he made brief contact with Max, and because like the cars were just bunched so close together, it's the start of the race, first corner, complex, cars were bunched together. He made slight contact with Max, and that kind of sent him into Oscar ever so slightly. They made contact. It wasn't a lot, but it was enough to spark a lot of controversy. I personally don't think that it was anything that crazy. Like, by the rules, and we've discussed the rules on this show in the past, the rules of engagement in F1 are kind of weird, but by the rules, it was a perfectly legal move. And also just like logically thinking racing wise, I think it was a perfectly fine move. Like, there wasn't a lot of space, but Lando obviously made it work, so there was enough room for a pass to happen. And yes, there was slight contact, but that just happens in racing sometimes. Like that's just the way it works sometimes. Sorry, not every move is going to be squeaky clean. Sometimes you got to get your elbows out. Sometimes you're going to bump wheels. Like, there wasn't any major damage that happened. Nothing crazy happened here. I think it was a perfectly fine move. And honestly, like, this is just my opinion, but Oscar, like, crying over the radio to the team, telling the team that they should swap positions, like, I get it because he's in a championship battle, but also at the same time, that's pretty embarrassing. Like, Lando got his elbows out, he made a pass, and you want the team to swap places because of that? Like, like, are we really doing that? And, like, if you're crying on Twitter about this move, like, you get a new hobby, like, get a grip. This is just a normal racing move, honestly.
I feel that we say this saying on the show all the time. That's racing.
Yeah, that's racing. Like
cars are gonna hit each other. Like,
and in this move, Andrew, like, from a risk, like a potential risk standpoint, if you remember back to Monza of last year, I don't think it was any crazier than the move that Oscar made on Lando, right? Like, that's the whole thing that started this whole papaya rules nonsense in the first place. But I don't think that move was any crazier than this move. Like, yes, they made contact here, but they were so close to making contact in Monza last year, and if they did, it would have been way more catastrophic than a little shove to the side here. So, like, from a potential risk standpoint, this isn't even the craziest thing to happen in recent McLaren memory. I'm not sure why this is such a big deal in so many people's minds. Like, I guess because it's such a tight championship race, but, like, they're going to be aggressive against each other because they are in that championship race. Like, this is just a byproduct of that. And is that not what we want as fans? Like it was a super entertaining moment to start the race. Started the race with a bang. Like, is that not what we want to happen?
Figuratively and literally.
Yeah, but, like, is that not what we want to happen? Like, do we not want excitement? Like if Oscar got punted into the wall, we would be having a conversation. But that's a completely different conversation. That's just not what happened. Like I said, like, if you had a problem with this overtake, like, I suggest you find a new hobby. Because everyone loves to call back to Ayrton Senna's quote, like, oh, if you go for a gap if you don't go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver, or whatever the exact quote is. Like, everyone loves to call back to that quote until a driver actually tries to go for a gap. Every single time, without fail. It's just kind of wild to me. And I don't want to spend, like, absolute ages talking about this because we do have an entire show to get to. But like I said, it's just kind of wild to me. Like, I don't know, Andrew. Like, what's your thoughts on this? Because I sent you the video. I know you watched it. What do you think?
I saw nothing egregious.
Yeah.
Was the onboard car on from that video Lando?
Yeah, that was Lando.
Like, Lando has to control his car better, but that's racing. Like, there's probably going to be a few more incidents of the same type later on in the race I don't know, Lance Stroll and Franco Colapinto.
I mean,
whatever. The point is, like, it's a very common incident with not a lot of blowback.
Yeah.
The only reason that we're talking about it, or it's getting blown out of proportion, is the two McLaren drivers who are fighting for a very tight drivers' championship.
I mean, a very, very similar move happened a few weeks ago at Zandvoort between Charles Leclerc and George Russell. That move won overtake of the month. Everyone was mind blown because it was argy-bargy, but a move was pulled off. A great pass was pulled off. And that one overtake of the month, that only got praise, but this is only really getting hate. It's just like, if you remove yourself from the situation a little bit and look at it from a bird's eye view, I think you can start to understand that this is a little silly. And I understand you need to race your teammate with respect and all that, of course, but also it's a championship fight where they are the two parties. They're going to be aggressive against each other. And, you know, if Lando didn't go for a move there, like he has to go for a move there. You know what I mean? Like there was an opportunity. He has to do it. Like sorry, but that's just the way it works out sometimes.
I like that phrase you said earlier, argy bargy. That's one of my top favorite motorsports words.
It's a good word when you're talking about, battling in different races. So
You hear that all the time in sports cars,
Yeah.
but continue.
Moving on from that incident, like nothing really happened, honestly. Like there were bits and pieces of action, but at least from that point until my next talking point, which is the pit cycle during like late 20s lap wise, there wasn't really anything that happened. But during that pit cycle, there was drama once again with the McLarens because if Oscar came into the pits first, he would have easily been able to cover off Charles Leclerc. But since Lando was now in front, he got to choose if he wanted to pit first. And of course he did, because that's just more advantageous. So he came into pit on lap 27, and then Piastri came in a lap later. He had a really slow pit stop, 5.2 seconds. I don't know what's going on with this McLaren team. Like, on one hand, they're the best team on the grid, but they have so many issues, and one of them is pit stops. I don't understand how this keeps happening, because they had gotten so good at pit stops, and now just it seems like every single race, one of the drivers is going to be stuck for 5 seconds. It was affecting Lando a lot, and now it's impacting Oscar as well. Like, McLaren really needs to figure that out. It's just embarrassing for them, quite frankly. As the race progressed, laps 35 or whatever to the 40s, there was a lot of battling in the midfield, honestly. Isaac Hadjar had an engine issue, but he was battling with Alonso. The Saubers and Alpines were putting on a show, but it was like for P16, so yes, it was entertaining to an extent, but also who cares? Something actually important was Oliver Behrman was flying up the grid and got inside of the top 10, which was cool to see. On lap 45, Nico Hülkenberg's rear tires locked up, and he went off track. Luckily for him, it was one of the few parts of the track that actually has runoff, so he didn't go into the wall, and he was able to continue going. Little after that, like lap 50, 51, 52, Lando was really close to Max Verstappen in P2, but he couldn't get a move done. Someone who was able to get a move done, though, was Kimi Antonelli. Late lunge, late on the brakes, down the inside of Leclerc for P5. Really nice pass, honestly. And on lap 62, George Russell, he crossed the finish line. He took the checkered flag. Max and Lando were on the podium behind him, and McLaren had secured the Constructors' Championship, their second in as many years, which, honestly, Andrew, with all the negativity around McLaren, despite them being back-to-back Constructors' Champions, I do want to take a moment to just say, like, wow, they've done a really amazing job. Like 3-4 years ago, they were just kind of nowhere. Like in beyond that, like 2015, 2016, they were like the worst team on the grid, and then they've had ups and downs getting back up to the top. But now they've not only reached the mountain, but they've done it twice in back-to-back years. It's very impressive, the turnaround that team has had. So kudos to them, honestly. Like from just god awful to a championship winning team in a relatively short amount of time. It's impressive, because we've seen teams just stuck in the mud for much longer than McLaren was able to complete their entire rebuild. The rest of the top 10, though, after George, Max, and Lando, was Oscar Piastri, Kimi Antonelli, Charles Leclerc, Fernando Alonso, Lewis Hamilton, Oliver Behrman, and Carlos Sainz. That's not the end of me talking about Singapore, though, because after the race, there was even more McLaren controversies. One was Oscar Piastri disconnecting his team radio early, and two was the team celebrating while Oscar was off doing his media stuff. Tackling the first one, in my opinion, I think Oscar probably should have stayed on the radio to listen to Zach Brown congratulate him and in helping the team win the championship. I think that would have been the thing to do. Oscar honestly acted super childish this race. At the same time, though, I do understand it. Like everything matters in this championship fight for the Drivers' Championship, which is always going to be what he cares about more. And it was a tough race for him in that regard, so I understand that he's going to be upset. Honestly, like, at the end of the day, it's not a big deal. Like, he's still happy for the team. He celebrated after with the team. But that does get into the next point. The team started to celebrate while Oscar was off doing his media stuff. Again, I don't think this is a big deal. Like, this is just people making a mountain out of a molehill, because how are you going to tell the team that just won the championship to not be happy and not celebrate? Well, someone who, granted, is a major part of the team, but someone on the team has to do other things before he can join the celebration. You just want them to all stand there and do nothing until Oscar joins the room and then they can celebrate? No, they're happy. They want to celebrate, and it's not like they stopped celebrating when Oscar was done doing his media. Like he just joined the party a little late. It's really not a big deal. I really, really do not like the F1 fandom right now. Just getting upset over every little thing. Things that just don't matter at all. Things that I feel like we have to talk about on this show because everyone on social media is talking about them. But things that just don't matter in the slightest. Mm-hmm. It's people just everyone take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. It's okay. I promise you it's okay. But that's that on the race. Getting into the news.
And now for the news.
It's kind of sticking with the theme of the race. The F1 production has kind of come under fire from a lot of people. And Carlos Sainz is the most recent to join that. He had an interview with, who was it?
Someone.
He had an interview with someone, just where he was a Spanish radio station where he was criticizing the production. He said last weekend they didn't show any of the 4 or 5 overtakes I did at the end, nor did they show Fernando's pursuit of Lewis. They missed a lot of things. And the reason that they missed a lot of things was they just kept showing, like, celebrities and, like, the driver's girlfriends. Like, just very random camera shots back to people who aren't the drivers. And it's kind of the whole, like, Taylor Swift thing with Chiefs games. Like, yeah, you can show her a few times, whatever, like, it doesn't matter that much. But, like, imagine if the NFL missed a play because they were just showing Taylor Swift. Like, that would never happen. Mm-hmm. And yet that's happening multiple times a race with Formula One. And that's just crazy. Like, they showed Sainz's girlfriend, they were showing Lando's girlfriend, they were showing Charles' girlfriend, like, multiple times for no reason at all, and just other celebrities that were there. F1 kind of responded to the pushback. A spokesperson said, "We always focus on giving our fans the best possible footage of the race and never compromise the key focus, the racing on track. Our team does a great job of covering a highly complex situation with multiple cars at different points on a track and also provide great context moments of the grandstand, high-profile guests, and the locations we race at. We are always in pursuit of excellence and improvement in what we deliver." Well, you seem to be focusing on the high-profile guests a little too much. This is just another thing with the, like, I don't even know what to call it, like the TikTokification of F1. Like everything's a show, everything's dramatic, but the actual, like, racing on track, that can't be appreciated.
I will kind of chime in on this from the NASCAR side. You don't really see this at all unless it's under caution or something. Like, the only real exception I can kind of say to that is Michael Jordan when he's there and he owns a race team. So, like, yeah, you should show him. So, like, just kind of comparison there.
It's just, like, this isn't a new thing. This isn't going to be the end of it. But I hope F1 does cut back a little bit. It's just not a great situation.
Yeah. Next piece.
Next piece is Mercedes. They are allowing Valtteri Bottas to get started with, basically preparing for Cadillac next year. Obviously, he is the reserve driver of Mercedes right now and is going to be racing for Cadillac next year. But they're not, stepping in the way of him preparing for that role. They are allowing him to get simulator work with Cadillac, and just be with that team as well in preparation for next season. He said that Mercedes, has been really supportive, and that the two sides are, I guess they've obviously come to some sort of agreement there. So not like a major piece of news at all, but something to mention that Valtteri will be allowed to kind of get integrated with that team.
Moving on to IndyCar news. We have NASCourt, but now we're getting INDYcourt. We have Zach Brown and McLaren racing versus Alex Palou and that fall from that lawsuit a few years ago. This is finally happening. Zach Brown was questioned. That's really what happened. From what I've seen, granted, it's only the McLaren evidence was looked at, nothing from Alex Palou, which there's two sides of the equation. Looks like, I don't want to jump to conclusions, but Zach Brown is looking like McLaren is probably not going to get that $20 million they're asking for. And yeah, we've seen some things where I think they were mentioning Alexander Rossi, that they didn't want to. They were happy that they were getting rid of him once they knew that happened. Among other things, that was just kind of ridiculous from McLaren's. I know they were in the case they were talking about whether or not Marcus Ericsson was a good driver or not, which is very irrelevant. This is like on the show if we were discussing whether or not Brock Purdy was good, which we're not going to discuss. So, like, this is weird, and we're going to start tracking that through hopefully the next month or so, and that will conclude. Moving over to sports cars. Normally we don't talk sports cars, but this is so major. I'm going to go on full-on rant mode about this, Ethan, because I am not happy. Porsche is leaving WEC, which this is I don't know this year, but last year they were the number one team. They were the team to beat. They won the championship. Ethan.
Yeah, I know. They're
good.
They're a powerhouse.
They're a powerhouse. This year I don't think they're doing as good. Let me check here. They're 3rd and 6th. Actually, no, it's not right. They're 3rd and something else. But regardless, they're still 2nd in the Constructors Equivalent Championship. 2 wins, including Le Mans. Now they're backing out. Why? You may ask. That's because of budgetary reasons. Well, why are they staying in Formula E then? The Porsche,
is it cheaper?
I honestly don't know. But Porsche has so much roots in sports car racing. I saw a Twitter comment saying it's like if Ferrari left F1.
It's not that.
It's not that extreme, but it is like.
It's like if Mercedes.
Yeah, well,
F1.
if Mercedes, yeah. But still, surprising, shocking. I don't understand this one bit. Like Porsche, Penske. I don't. This is
They've left in the past.
They've left in the past, but pulling the plug on a program that's a winning championships in the moment. Very surprising. Yes, there's going to be non-factory cars racing, which is cool, and yeah, but they're not going to be as good. And Penske's, I think, going to hold their IMSA program at least.
Yeah, they're staying in IMSA. They're staying in Formula E. It's just withdrawing from WEC.
I think this is like, it's very disappointing because VW came into this new era saying, oh, we're going to have Porsche, we're going to have Lamborghini, we're going to have Audi, all doing this LMDH or LMH programs. Well, Audi never got off the ground. They said, oh, okay, we're going to go do F1, which is fair. Okay. I would have loved to see Audi, because all their history at Le Mans, they're pretty good. And Lamborghini, they were a train wreck.
Lamborghini doesn't have any racing history either, really.
No, which is fair. But still, they were a train wreck and a half. They've withdrawn from WEC. I think they still have an INDYCourt, but regardless, that barely races. And now Porsche pulling out. It's like, wow, VW, you were supposed to be huge buyers into this thing, and you're not. Very, very, very disappointing. So Porsche getting the Chicken Award this week.
I mean, is that fair though? Honestly, because like if they're pulling out due to budgetary reasons, like it's unfortunate. But like, can you blame them?
Well, Ethan, it's like I promised you 3 great cookies, okay? And then I say,
they've delivered their 3 great cookies, though.
No, I say they haven't because the first one never happened. The second one happened, and then it wasn't very good. This third one, which wound up being Porsche, it was good. And now they say, oh, well,
it wasn't good. It was great.
It was great. Yeah, I'll give you that. But still, you promised me something, and you fall. You don't just fall short. You fall at the feet, on your, flat on your face at the feet of sports car fans. Very disappointed. Like,
it's unfortunate. It's definitely unfortunate, but maybe they'll come back. Maybe they won't. I'd have more of an opinion on it if I actually followed WEC, but I don't. So I'll give it to you though. I see where you're coming from. It's unfortunate. I just think, like, at the end of the day, if they can't afford it, they can't afford it, and it's more of like it's a sad thing rather than like they failed us thing. Like, they failed themselves maybe, but
I think that's true too. But regardless, we're gonna move on to NASCAR is issuing warning to teams about race manipulating following late race rover drama. Cole Custer and Alex Bowman were told to save tires on the last lap because who are they following? Joey Logano and Ross Chastain, respectively. Yes, there's a carbon between Bowman and Chastain, but the point is moot there. NASCAR doesn't like it. They don't want race manipulation at all. And I think what they're saying is we didn't make this clear, but moving forward, this is now going to be a penalty. We're not changing the rules. We are clarifying the rules. and I like this. Freddie Kraft, the Bubba Wallace spotter, he said he wasn't saying anything at all to Bubba Wallace on points because he didn't want to test the waters and be on the wrong side, which I don't blame him. And that's why Denny Hamlin wasn't told that information, because if you look in the past before all the race manipulation that happened last year at Martinsville, spotters and driver would be telling, okay, this is the point situation, and I'm pretty sure Hamlin doesn't pass Chastain. But with this year following the race manipulation that happened at Martinsville that allowed William Byron to get in instead of Christopher Bell, NASCAR said, oh, we don't like that. And now NASCAR is laying down the law. But kind of. If they can get this executed correctly in the future, I'm all for this. But if they can, if it's more stuff like this, it'll be just, I don't know why we're doing this then. Because if you create rules, you must enforce the rules. And then kind of going back to what you were saying earlier is that I think Hamlin doesn't pass Chastain at all, because I go back to what you were talking about last week. This is the golden opportunity to get Joey Logano, a Ford, out of the playoffs.
Yeah. And
Denny Hamlin, to no fault of his own, allowed Joey Logano to get back in the playoffs.
Yeah, because he wasn't made aware.
What this is interesting. We'll see where it goes from here, because I'm kind of just, I see one side, I see the other side. Nothing's prevailed yet. Moving over to NAScourt, the rest of the teams, except for Haas, Colleague, Spire, and Trackhouse, and then two other teams that are not chartered, BJ McLeod from Live Fast Motorsports and Carl Long, MBM, back NASCAR in their stance on the lawsuit, which is interesting to see. All but four of the teams back NASCAR. Makes you wonder, why didn't those four teams hold out? And is NASCAR in the right now that these teams are backing NASCAR? It makes you wonder. It makes you think. I've always been on the side of, I don't know what the teams are the 2311 front row are suing for. I don't understand what they're trying to get out of this. But if these teams are saying, yeah, NASCAR negotiated fairly with us, you're like, in negotiations, you can't always get what you want. We got a lot. Maybe they were right. Maybe NASCAR's right. A couple other things that happened. NASCAR moves to settle the 2311 front row dispute. And 2311 front row say NASCAR's request for a settlement conference is, quote, another effort to play the court of public opinion and not move toward a resolution. Interesting. We'll see if anything comes out from that, but doesn't really matter. And NASCAR was granted a settlement hearing, so we'll see how that goes. I'm breathing out of frustration.
I'm ready for this to end.
Ready for this to end. We've said this for like 2 months now. That's saying that we're ready for this to end.
Yeah.
And we're probably got 2 months left, maybe 3.
Yeah.
Ethan, you want to talk about something else here?
Yeah, I'll keep it quick. Let me find the.
Oh, actually, one more piece of NASCAR news that I scrolled over. NASCAR increases horsepower to 750 for Cup races at road courses and tracks under 1.5 miles. I've been saying this for a bit. NASCAR fans have been saying this for longer. We want more horsepower.
Can you explain for the people what this increase how this actually factors into the racing action?
It makes the cars, I believe, to be more powerful.
Well, obviously.
Which in turn makes the grip, I think, on the tires to be less, and then more out of control to an extent, just to kind of get these cars from being, and with the draft as well, with air, to make the being in dirty air less or more negligible, just so cars can easily pass others with this more power. That's something I've been saying all along. I think most NASCAR fans, including myself, would like to see that number be higher, but steps are being taken in the right direction. I think the ideal number is 750 on everything higher except for super speedways, which is probably like whatever they're running, like the 510, I want to say. I think that's what they're running. And then on the tracks that are currently 750, I'd like to see them around like 910. I think that's about the number I think I'd like to see, but it steps in the right direction, and we'll see if it does make the changes that I think a lot of people are expecting it will, from fans, drivers alike.
Yeah. All right, so I'll just mention this very briefly. Again, something that we don't normally talk about. Two motorsports that we actually don't talk about: the World Rally Championship and Super Formula. I'm gonna butcher this guy's name. I think it's Cali Rovenpera. Either way, however you say his name, he is a two-time World Rally Championship, and he is making the jump to single-seaters, moving to Super Formula. He has raced with Toyota in the World Rally Championship, and he will be racing with Toyota in Super Formula. This is super interesting, Andrew, because he doesn't have any prior open-wheel single-seater experience, and we've talked multiple times off air, and I think even on air before, about how we both think that, you know, the World Rally Championship rally racing is so different than what all other forms of motorsports are, kind of, but it's probably the hardest. Like, it is so difficult, and now he's moving to something else. Does that mean it's going to be easy for him, though? Probably not, because he has no experience in this, but he's young. He's only 25 years old. He has time to learn, and when I say he's good, like, that's understating it. Like, he won the World Rally Championships version of F2. He's a two-time winner, winning in 2022 and 2023. Right now, he's like 20 points back from the top spot this year with 3 rounds to go. Before he won his first championship, Colin McRae, who everyone knows who Colin McRae is. Like, even if you don't know what, like, the World Rally Championship is, you've heard the name Colin McRae before. Colin McRae, youngest World Rally Championship champion of all time at 27 years old. Well, when Rovenpera won it for the first time, he was 22.
Wow.
Yeah. So this kid can drive a car. I'm very interested to see how it carries over to such a different form of motorsports, though. It's something to follow. I believe that he's said that racing in F1 is a goal for him. If maybe he didn't say that, but I believe he said that. I'm pretty sure he said that. Regardless, like, racing at a high level in open wheels is something that he wants to do, and now he gets the chance to, because, you know, Super Formula is no joke.
It's kind of interesting how he's kind of pulling the reverse Scott Speed here, of going from F1 to eventually NASCAR to Rally, where he's going Rally to Super Formula to hopefully F1 for him.
I mean, he's trying to do like reverse Kimi Räikkönen, kind of F1 straight to Rally.
Fair enough. Into the previews now.
And now for next week's race previews.
Now Las Vegas. Start off the round of 8 here. 8 drivers and left playoffs. Cup and Xfinity this week. Cup has 2 open drivers, J.J. Yaley in the 44 for NY Racing and Catherine Legg in the 78 for B.J. McLeod. Xfinity Series, drivers changing. 07, Nick Lights, SS Greenlight Racing. Daniel Hemrick, 11 for Colleague. 17, Corey Day for Hendrick. 19, Eric Almirola for Joe Gibbs. Trevor Bayne comes back. He's driving the 724 for Sam Hunt. 32 will be Austin Green for Jordan Anderson. Joey Gase cars 35 and 53. Mason Maggio, Joey Gase. Mason Massey in the 45 for Alpha Prime. Thomas Annunziata in the 70 for Cope Family Racing, and the 91 of DGM will be driven by Josh Williams. The five drivers to watch out for this week. We'll go with 2-time winner Brad Keselowski, 4-time winner Joey Logano, 3-time winner Kyle Larson, 1-time winner Denny Hamlin, and 1-time winner William Byron. Honorable mentions to Josh Berry, Kyle Busch, and Alex Bowman, who each have 1 win there. The data from the few races that we've had at this track say it's going to be a 6 1/4 review. So somewhere in that 6 range is what's expected. So yeah, moving over to pick points.
And now for next week's race picks.
I continue my free fall. Few weeks ago, Ethan, on week 30, I was 14 points back. Really still in the hunt. Now I'm 39 points back 5 weeks later.
I'm just so good at this, dude.
No, I'm just bad because the guests have actually gained 2 points on you in that stretch.
I'm so good at this, dude.
It's more like me being bad, not you being
I'm
good.
so good at this, Andrew. I'm not letting you take this away from me. I'm about to 3-peat.
Anyway, there's still a handful of races left. Xfinity Series at Las Vegas. Actually, you know what? Ethan, I'll let you talk about this. Go through who has how everyone did last week.
Okay, well, last week for the Formula One podium, Andrew, you had Oscar winning, Lando second, and George Russell third. I had Lando winning, Oscar second, and Max Verstappen third. And then the guest had Oscar winning, George Russell second, and Charles Leclerc third. Neither of those were right, but Lando was on the podium, and Max Verstappen was on the podium, so I get 2 points. You get 2 points for Lando and George, and the guest gets 1 point for George. Guests swept NASCAR, which is very impressive. Corey Heim won Trucks. Connor Zilic won Xfinity, which also gave you and me 5 points as well. And then SVG won the Roval, which gave me 5 points as well. You went Christopher Bell.
I should have known better. Well,
you should have.
I did know better because like a month ago, I put Shane Van Gisbergen into that spot, and then I said, no, I need to make points up. Who's a driver who can do that? Christopher Bell. Yes, Christopher Bell was probably the 3rd best car all day, which probably should get me something because I don't know. But I changed. I lost 5. I wonder how many times I've changed and how many times it's gained me points this year. Regardless, we've got a total of 2 races this week, so I can gain up to 10 points. Guest, I just reached out to mid-show. He has not gotten picks in yet, so that's. I've yet to. What?
Fraud watch.
I've yet to even edit last week's show, and I probably won't until after the weekend, because I am a fraud. Anyway, Las Vegas. I saw your pick and said, I've got to be different than you. So I went with the former winner at this track, a guy who I think, like, regardless, is the next best option besides who you picked. So I'm not feeling not confident in this pick, but I'm kind of, I feel like I might get buyer's remorse here of jumping off of the driver you picked and jumping onto this guy. But he can get it done, and that's Justin Allgaier. That's my pick for Xfinity.
Okay. I am taking Connor Zilic because he's so tough. Like, nah, I mean, he's just like he wins every single race. How are you not gonna pick him?
I need to gain points on you. That's why.
You're not gonna be gaining points when I get another 5 because he won me the race.
I need some random. Yeah. I need like just some random lapped car to get in his way at some point.
Right on his downfall.
Anyway, into Cup Series. Interesting stat. Joey Logano, who's won here 4 times. I thought about going him, but he all 4 times he's won, he's been in the Pennzoil scheme. Joey Logano this week, he's rocking the Shell Pennzoil scheme, which is different.
Slightly different, yeah.
Actually, it's very different. But regardless, moving forward, so I said, okay, there's 2 drivers I'm going to think about picking here. But the Toyotas have been so dominant in the playoffs, Ethan.
Mm-hmm.
There's 3 ones left. This guy's been on a good run of form throughout the playoffs. Last year at this race, I believe he got second. I think he wound up I think he was going to win this race, but Joey Logano pulled a 2-tire strategy that wasn't supposed to work, and it worked. So I'm going this guy. He's going to get his redemption, going to punch his ticket to the championship for Phoenix, Christopher Bell.
Okay. I am going different. I'm going with a guy who won this race 2 years ago, a guy that's won the spring race at the same track 2 times, a guy that's finished second in that race 2 times, guy who all around has success here at the Las Vegas track. That is Kyle Larson. He is also on a solid run of form, 3 top 10s in a row, and last time out at the Roval, a 2nd place. It also kind of just feels like it's been so long since Kyle Larson won that, like, it's like, how has he not won more recently than Kansas? Like the first time we went to Kansas. How has he not won? So I think he'll get, again, another win because, it's about time Kyle Larson wins a race.
I misspoke. I said Christopher Bell did not win in the playoffs. He won Bristol. I don't know how I forgot about that. But 5 top 5s or 5 top 10s rather in a row for Christopher Bell. Most of any driver. I'm just going to go through the full 8 drivers real quick.
Yeah, because since we have a couple minutes left on the show, I wanted to ask you, who do you have advancing to the Final 4?
Right. Well, I'm going to run through all 8 where they are. Denny Hamlin is 8 points up on the cut line, 6 for Ryan Blaney, 4 for Larson and Byron. Bell is 4 back. Elliott and Briscoe, the Chase is 14 back, and Joey Logano is 24 back. I don't see Joey Logano being able to get a win this round, or Chase Briscoe. I just don't think they're the drivers to do it. I just don't trust them. They're gone. I look at Denny Hamlin. He's been kind of hot and not this playoffs. 3 finishes outside the top 10, 3 in. Like, if it's gonna be a round where he fails to get or only gets 1 top 10 finish, he's gone. So that's my 3rd driver. So, and my 4th guy, I'm looking at a guy who's been fairly consistent but been very forgettable, Chase Elliott.
Okay.
So that allows Ryan Blaney, Kyle Larson, William Byron, Christopher Bell to get in the Final 4.
I'm a little bit different. I have eliminated Joey Logano in every single round so far, and he hasn't been eliminated yet. I'm going to keep that up and eliminate him, which probably means that he is going to win the next 3 races. I'm also going to eliminate Chase Briscoe. Solid run of form, but I think that the rest of these guys, they're all going to be on top of their game, and I think they'll just outperform him. Then I'm going to say Chase Elliott and William Byron. I think that Denny knows that this is time, and he just needs to do it. So, and I think that will motivate him. It's extra motivation. So I think that gets him in. He'll get in. Blaney, 2 forgettable races. He's another guy who needs to be on top of his game. Like Denny, though, he has the advantage of being on the positive side of the cut line, and I don't think that he will perform bad enough to fall out. Larson, I predicted that he'll win, so obviously I think that he will advance. And then Christopher Bell, I just have more faith in him to pull out the performances necessary compared to William Byron. Not a slight at Byron. I think he's a very good driver. But for this year, I think the Final Four will be Hamlin, Blaney, Larson, and Bell.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Season 3, Episode 40 of the Loose Wheel Show. That is Ethan Ignatowski. My name is Andrew Hazlett.
What did you call me?
Ethan Ignatowski. My name is Andrew Hazlett.
Didn't sound like.
Goodbye.
All right. Here we go, guys and gals. And boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, drivers!